Hey, what's some funny shit about Baby Driver? I made a poster. I didn't make it. Chase made it. It's for Baby Driver, but instead of baby, it says Mini, and everybody is Mini Driver.
I also liked your really casual intro. What are some funny things about Baby Driver?
I would have cut that, but I'm glad that you referenced it.
No, it's more fun to make it impossible.
That's really good because I like to open the shows on a joke, I like to open it on a laugh and hook the people, and then the theme goes. It usually goes. Welcome to Reasonable Beef. My name is Tim E. Kish. I'm joined today by who's here?
Oh, it's me, Dom. I'm here.
My old small mover.
Your small little boy.
And who else is here? Who's our guest for this evening?
This old chunk of coal, Nik Oldershaw.
Itty bitty mover. I already used mover. Shit.
You're doing Baby Driver.
You're trying to do
things.
small Baby Driver, like another thing. Like,
Teensy weensy wheelie demon.
Yeah. I like that was the first one.
Wow.
Holy Christ.
Yeah.
Hey, we saw Baby Drivers, directed by Edgar Wright, 2007, stars kid in King Arthur's court and
Ansel Elgort
and Lily Smalllass, and it was a good film.
Right. Yeah. Infant chauffeur.
There were things. Yeah, infant chauffeur also works.
Yes.
Man, I'm not quick enough for this tonight.
Dom and I were doing this on the way here. I think that's why it's in my head.
No, we were playing friggin' movie name game, which is usually synonyms. A thing that you play over like texting, where you have time to think and then you can write it down. And he's giving me shit that off the top of my head I couldn't immediately think of a synonym for every word in a movie title.
I said leader, country, domestic fight.
Sure.
Without barely thinking about
Leader, country, domestic.
I'm going to save you some time. It's Captain America Civil War.
Oh.
Right? But the fact that he did it as quickly as he did it and then got on my case, it took me 2 minutes to think of one. And he's like, what do you see now?
I got Cider House Rules like that.
Yeah.
Because my gorilla mind, man.
It's from 1999. It's
Juice Building.
The Grid.
The Matrix.
Fuck, no. Damn it, that's true. There's also a movie called The Grid, I'm sure.
There is
a movie
called The Grid.
Yep. Hey,
regardless.
Baby Drive. It was good.
Yeah, Baby Driver.
I think it's good.
How does it rank?
It is good.
So, I said a couple weeks ago that I trust Edgar Wright implicitly, and I don't think I love this as much as I thought I was going to, but I still liked it a lot. Where's it rank on your guys' lists
what do you think,
the
Nick?
Wright list?
This is just because of I think Scott Pilgrim is his best movie. I do think Baby Driver is my favorite Edgar Wright movie. It's got stuff that just tickles me. It appeals to the kind of movies that I like. I'd put it like third.
You're making me realize. See, to me, it's the category. It's easy enough because I've never really cared for Hot Fuzz, and I like World's End conceptually, but something about it was static or something. Like I don't know. It didn't punch me as hard as I wanted to because it seemed like it was going to be wild and go on these crazy directions. I think it would be Shaun of the Dead is still top for me. I think maybe Scott Pilgrim, and then I think Baby Driver. And that's not to say anything about Baby Driver. I don't know. They're all good movies. It's almost funny. You're saying there's something about Baby Driver that tickles you. Like Shaun of the Dead is my gut instinct for movie things.
It's still the best balance of comedy and drama I've seen in a long
Scott Pilgrim is
in a long ever.
Dude, Scott Pilgrim was a blast. Like that's what's funny about. Like I feel like I maybe was missing that somewhat with Baby Driver because it sort of lost me near the middle. I got a little. I kind of didn't realize where I was being led at a certain point.
Yeah.
But like with Scott Pilgrim, I remember when we saw that, and again we didn't really I'd read the book. Sure. I remember reading Scott Pilgrim, and I was like, yeah, fun, cool. And then the movie for some reason just grabbed me by the butt cheeks and dragged me along the yard.
That movie is a cursed existence. So Michael Cera is the perfect casting for Scott Pilgrim. I will fight you about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they could not have had a worse moment to have Michael Cera starring in a movie. Probably at the height of
people were annoyed. Yeah, you're right.
People were really not into Michael Cera.
Yeah.
What was that, 2010?
2010.
Yeah. So that was like the Tipberg of it. That's a word.
Which is so
wild. It was good.
It is weird how everything's moving fucking fast. Because even now, you feel like if Scott Pilgrim opened right now, it would be cause like based on a graphic novel, really punchy, crazy video game reference visuals.
It's visually perfect.
You think people would like lose their shit right now? And what was it, 7 years ago? Even
it's weirdly
like
dated,
almost
though, because like what it is, what it shows is like hipsters of the day. Probably the only movie to show like what actual hipsters of the day were kind of like, just like indie kids. Nobody did that effectively, and like that's really because Brian Lee O'Malley, like that's what he is. So of course he wrote those kind of characters.
Yeah, I just also do think that's like classic
but it's very
losers,
like 2008.
Yeah, that's crazy,
it's
man.
very 2008. It's actually it's a great time capsule of like that moment in time. Like Neon Bible had just come out, and it was just like, that was a time period.
Oh man.
But yeah, like Scott Pilgrim for me, it tickles more of my little hairs, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, I get that.
It brushes by more of my little my sticker outers.
I mean, Scott Pilgrim's definitely. I think it's simultaneously his best looking and funniest movie. And we said something about. Let's talk about what's funny in Baby Driver. Watching it the second time, I definitely don't even consider Baby Driver a comedy.
No, it's not very funny.
Yeah.
I was smiling. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's the whole. I feel like I was pleased the whole time. I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
And like, that was fine. I was tapping my foot. I was having a fucking blast.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, this is the hype machine again. This is my. I got chewed a little before I got to get into the movie. You know what I mean? It's like I was trying to step to the side of the gears, but I walked right through the center, and I got a little mangled before I sat down in the theater.
What?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
The hype machine.
Oh, okay.
Whereas I tried to do a sidestep, I went right through the middle.
You know that it's a good metaphor
Let me
to
ask
get
you
to walk
something.
people
Okay,
through it.
so a hype machine would be a machine that produces hype, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that its intended use is to grind people inside of itself?
Yes. I'm standing by what
I
I
am one with the hype machine.
No, you go through it and you come out changed.
Yeah, that's true.
You come out disfigured and you see the world differently.
So the hype machine's. So it's objectively a bad
And your
machine.
father brings you back to life with a monkey's paw, and you knock on his door. One rap.
You know what? I will say that I do think the hype machine is inherently. I think hype is inherently
that makes
bad.
sense. You're right.
I think it's always bad.
Okay,
I don't
this
think
is a good metaphor.
It ever
I was
works.
wrong.
Sure.
This was a good metaphor.
There's a great line in Dodgeball of, if you never have any expectations, you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah.
And that's true.
That's also just my dad always said that.
Man, that's what, even like watching the trailer, I'm like, the moment that maybe the what the fuck moment with the old woman, that might have made me smile if that hadn't been in every trailer. You know, like that charming moment is now just I roll my eyes.
Trailers are bullshit. I've avoided every piece of Spider-Man Homecoming since the first full trailer.
Because you see the whole movie.
Yeah, because I don't.
Look,
but anyway,
that's bullshit. That's bullshit. You haven't seen the movie. We don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, but we know one of the major emotional beats.
Yeah, so what? Like we had no idea about the fucking Mandarin. That hit me like a stack of pancakes.
True. I do like that.
I was like, that phrase?
What do you mean?
I'm gonna start using it from now on.
What do you mean?
I was like, what the friendship is going on here?
Where did that come from?
And it was very good. And I don't know. I still think there's surprises in store for Spider-Man.
Of course there's going to be.
Let me tell you guys about the most groovy, fantastic pair of bell bottoms.
Gotcha.
It's a great opening.
That probably tracked well on the mic. Hey, everybody. So I loved, I really like the kid, sort of. Ansel and
it was the most I've ever liked him.
My girlfriend loves him. She thinks he's fantastically cute.
Yeah.
I wish he was like 4 years older than he is.
Weird.
Because I had trouble, like, maybe it's just because I'm getting older, but I had trouble looking at him and going like, oh, this kid's fucking cool. Because like part of him is still in that awkward growing up section of his body, of his life. I'm kind of like, I'm not quite on board with you yet. Like, I don't think he moves that groovy. Like, I don't think he dances.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, to me, though, there was something like that. I always love that in movies and in anything when they're cool because they're a little weird. Like, they're just in it. And you do get the feeling when he's listening to the music and he's walking around that he's just having a good time. Like, he's just having fun. And that's just what he does. And he just...
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I like that even when they don't like pull it off as like
it's not supposed to be flashy.
It's cool because he's not. I mean, and I'm a big fan of that.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's doing it anyway. He's got that
I think that him and Lily James, their relationship really shines, though. I was surprised at how much that was maybe my favorite part. They were truly like charming.
They were charming as fuck. Yeah.
I think too much of the movie was devoted to it, to be perfectly honest, and I still ended up not believing it. Like a lot of it is just it's very candy. You know what I mean? It's very much like a 50s romance. Like, we're gonna get out of here, and that's entirely on purpose.
Nice. Yeah,
it's purposeful.
There's no doubt in my mind that's entirely on purpose.
Prince
but
and
at
Princess.
a point, it got a bit grating for me.
Well, here's the well, it's always the weird. It's the one
specifically.
That's the scene I love.
That's the scene where I'm like, this is too. I'm so sick of this.
Oh, I really like that.
So
scene.
I mean, it's twee. It's like it's
Twee!
I have a hard time. I mean, I'm just gonna go into it. I think my biggest beef with the movie, weirdly, not weirdly, but it just disappoints me, and I don't like to think it's true. But Edgar Wright kind of does a weird job with the girls in the movie, and I feel like both of them.
Yeah.
And that's to say, like, there's two girls in it, and the one is the criminal one who is cool, but is. And I get I get the power, I get what they're doing, and I get what it's setting
she
up.
She exists as an extension of John Hamm's character.
She literally exists.
Well, she's there to keep him in check.
No, but
sort of,
it's
not
all
really.
John Hamm.
Because
she really doesn't. You never get to know her really. She like taps Baby on the shoulder, which is like, oh, she's probably like secretly nice, or like she says, "What the fuck,
right?
Baby?"
Yeah.
But it's all about John Hamm.
And it's just But even it's that thing of like, I get it. Like, dudes look at girls, and like the Jamie Foxx being weird thing. But like, there's a butt shot in it that feels kind of out of place and weird, and it felt a little like I get that we were in a character's perspective, but it felt a little jarring. I don't know.
But what's crazy? She wasn't wearing anything revealing. Like, it was literally just like, okay, there's a woman's
yeah, but
pants.
you point a camera at a butt, and we know what we're
sure.
I guess.
But regardless, so I don't know. I felt like she didn't really have much going on, and it felt weird. Like, it weirded me. It gave me that uncomfortable. Like, I wish he wasn't doing this, because now I feel a little weird about.
Yeah.
I think the movie kind of revels in archetypes and tropes, though. I mean, that's the way that I read. These aren't even really characters.
Yeah, I understand that, but unfortunately, and that's cool, and I think that works. Archetypes and tropes works a little better for the guys in it, because we have cooler tropes and archetypes.
Yeah,
to be honest. Like, that's so I feel like then when you're playing up she just exists, and if you touch his girl, he's gonna kill you, and it's like, that's cool. Again, I like the pulpy funness of that,
right?
Yeah.
But there's something frustrating when she was like the only one on the team, the only girl on the team, and then even the waitress, like, again. It was just that weird sort of. I mean, everyone was like this. The argument I would make to my own argument here is that Baby is pretty singular also in what he's up to and what he feels and what he thinks and who he is as a character. Mm-hmm. So it's not completely out of place. It just was maybe a little bit of a bummer, because I didn't. And like, also, just again, it's that thing of are we not trying to a little bit turn the
move the needle.
The thing with the girl where it's like, oh, you can't know what I like. Just don't worry about it. It's too dangerous for you. Sure. And like he has to go off and do the thing, and she can't know about it. And then later she sort of like hits the guy with the shovel, like
Right. Like, you didn't see that one coming.
Like I just, and I understand, because I'm a big fan of this stuff. I love those classic moments, and I love using them. But there was almost the lack of extra spice that let me down a couple times.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a huge, it's just a slight bummer.
I guess
still a fun fucking movie.
This kind of goes back to what we were talking about on the way, because you were talking about how people are saying, oh, this movie took such risks. It's such a risk to make this movie.
Right.
I actually think this movie takes no risks. It just hits its mark really well at what it's trying to do, and that's why I like it.
I see what you mean.
It's a lean
The biggest
movie.
risk in the thing is the soundtrack, where it's just like, are people going to respond to this? Because it's kind of off the beaten path music.
Yeah.
And some of it's very strange. Like the end of Chemical World with the intermission part. It's like, this is, and they set it to the, I guess, where things are going bad, and it works, but it's also fucking odd and like unsettling.
I understand. Yeah,
it's almost like some of the music should have never been in a film.
Which is why some of it. That's why it's cool.
That's why it's kind of cool.
You're like,
it's like there's no way that anyone else could make this work. Like Edgar Wright's kind of making this work right now. And the point I made, where like another really interesting thing they did with the music is several scenes open with a hip hop sample, like a very famous hip hop sample, and then goes into the real song, like that it's sampled from
the funk song.
Yes, and it's like, it almost feels like Edgar Wright's going like, you like that? Well, check this out. This is the original sound.
He's like,
you know what I mean?
cool
This old guy showing you music, and it's like, fucking come on, dude. Like at times, I'm
could
on the
look
fence.
at it that
I'm
way.
on the fence about it.
I think it's just cool.
Because I
think it's really
music.
cool.
I think it was just neat. I mean, I liked all the. He's one of those guys too that I'm like, because he's such a like you feel he's such a dork. Like when you hear him talk about stuff, and I mean that in an endearing way. But I'm like so envious because he's fucking Baby Driver. Like he's the thing where he's so cool and he's so great at filmmaking he's such a great writer and everything. But he's also like a complete fucking dork. But he's got awesome taste in music, and he's he dresses in cool t-shirts and he knows all the cool movies. I'm like, fuck. Why can't I be
You.
Edgar Wright?
One day.
I'm sure that plan's already in motion.
I have 6 Dragon Balls.
That's scary. I don't know what that means.
We're close.
No, I'm always envious of people like that. Like when you're like, man, your tastes are dope.
Sure.
Like you just think you have a cool texture to what you like.
I don't think that because I think that's me. I have amazing taste in everything.
You do have amazing taste.
So peep this. My
Okay, go
biggest beef with the flick, probably Jamie Foxx's performance, to be perfectly honest. I was
Interesting.
really not feeling so. I kind of have this
Crazy to
feeling
be
about
crazy.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
That lately, I'm just not picking up what he's putting down. And I like Jamie Foxx. I like Jamie Foxx as an actor. But after the last thing I saw him in, frankly, was Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Sure.
And I was like, what are you doing in this movie? He plays a cartoon character and everyone else is a human being.
Yep.
Yeah,
And in
you're right.
this one, it's kind of the same thing. Like he's playing this character Bats, right? And he says all this like supposedly hard shit, like I got enough demons singing up here in my head. You know what I mean? But it all comes out as kind of he's unsure of himself because he's doing it a little bit too ridiculous, almost
Yeah.
like he's fronting, if you will. And then,
All right, good night, everybody. It's been a good show. I'm done. I'm out.
It never quite pays off for me. Like even after even after he dies, it's like, then why was he here?
I disagree. I like the function that his character serves. I don't love his performance.
Yeah, he escalates shit. I
Yeah.
do get that.
Yeah.
you're
It's
right.
cool and it's scary.
I don't want to question why the character is there, but I really that his performance was probably my biggest.
It's just ho hum.
But then in the same way, I'm not going to quite like I like the waitress story. Like I love that shit. I love someone put it as what it was like, the American an American fairy tale or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Baby Driver, and it's like I love like that sentence alone. I mean, I've reached climax about 7 times just thinking about it just now.
American fairy
Okay, I love
on
that.
right there on the bench.
But it's just then that's still I feel like we're at a point where you can still be disappointed because we have seen so much and we've seen these things play out so many different ways that sometimes when there doesn't feel like there's like what's the line between we talk about it a lot with like just doing it and you're gonna do it and I'm gonna do it and be sincere about this thing like he was making a choice a lot in this movie of like and who what we heard that a bunch of times leading up to the movie that it's like this is kind of it's not an ironic movie and he's not winking and
It's kind of like when you go to karaoke and someone picks a song and they sing it like they try really hard, where it's kind of like the situation calls for a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but they're actually going for it. Like they're actually doing the
But
thing.
that's what's weird though is I would still say though that there's plenty and maybe it's just intrinsic in what he's up to. I would say there's a fucking load of wink, wink. Like even just where you were like
absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what's weird. Like then it's still you're getting this.
And there's tonal shifts for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just more cartoonish, and the whole beginning with it's a lot of it is one shot. I think the first 2 scenes are like one shot where he's dancing to the music and the music's playing along, and then I guess you can analyze it as everything gets more discordant as it goes on, as everything falls apart, like the harmony of his life doesn't keep together.
There's no point.
I also kind of missed some of that. Like they established this, I'm like, oh, this is what this movie's going to be like, and then when it wasn't, I was like, oh.
Well,
okay.
I do see. I actually think that does work because you mentioned that the first time we watched it, you were like, "Oh, everything just starts falling apart after that first chase."
Yeah.
And I listened to Edgar Wright on NPR, and he's like, "The idea for this movie is the opening scene is the dream that you have of being a getaway driver. It's like what you fantasize about, and then everything after that is the nightmare of being a criminal."
Sure.
Which I do like.
I like that too, and
thematically.
it's again, this is another one of those guys where I would fucking die to defend his creative honor. I love him, but like even hearing that to me rings as one of those times where it sounds pretty to say that, but I'm not sure.
I think the ending
feel it in
undermines
the
it.
movie.
Yeah.
At the end, the ending undermines that.
it. Like I like. It's also like
That's most criticism for
when
me,
it
though.
falls apart with a decision made by Baby, like to kill or you know what I mean, like he decides to kill the Jamie Foxx character, and it's like. that to me doesn't read as getting caught in a nightmare. That did you kind of know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I mean, I thought it started being a nightmare like well before that. Just like with,
I get it with him, but maybe it was because it still felt straddling the line of everything slick, and Kevin Spacey is this dope ass like noir character, and you're sort of like, I get that he's scary, and I understand in the movie world you're teaching me that this is a big threat, but that maybe idea of, these are consequences to something that seems pulpy and crazy. Yeah. I don't know if I quite got it.
Especially,
I don't know if I quite felt
when he turns at the end.
Cool.
I'm like, I didn't think it was cool. Well, like at the time, I'm like, yay, just because I like to see things going well for these main characters. But at the same time, I'm just like, why? He's the impetus for this whole movie happening. Why can he suddenly turn around and go like, I'm defending you now?
On the second viewing, though, his character definitely reads as all bark and no bite. Like especially watching it again, I'm like, I don't think he was ever really a threat. I think that he's kind of bullying Baby, but I don't know, because he gives Baby like even though he says you have to drive for me, he still gives him multiple outs.
I think he also kind of looks at him like a son. Like it's very much he doesn't want him to go.
Yeah, of course.
He's proud of him. And I wish that we spent a little bit more time with Kevin Spacey, and not a ha-ha way. I wish we got to know him a bit more.
I agree.
See, these are like.
But then is that a different movie? Like, because this movie is really, it's just a celebration of chase tropes. And if you start to get too deep into the character, does it get away from what Edgar Wright was conceived? I don't know.
Sure, but then you also have the thematic element of an abusive father, where he's also another abusive father figure in his life.
That's true.
That is true. When you want to echo those kind of things. Another interesting thing that I just want to bring up so I don't forget about it, the way the film ends is when sorry, Nick, our audio producer hasn't seen it yet, and he's sitting there like trying to not listen. When he goes to prison at the end and then comes out and he looks exactly the same, nothing's changed, I find that that's actually a reference to the Hays Code in the 30s, where they passed those censorship codes, like the Hollywood censorship codes. It wasn't exactly a law, but whatever. Where the bad guy had to get punished in the end. He always had to go to jail at the end. Like you could have him do whatever the fuck you want, but at the end, crime doesn't pay. And that's kind of what Edgar Wright is doing. But it's also like, really, you're doing this for a reference to the Hays Code? But it's also doing this whole sequence?
No, but it's also
just a reference.
It's the consequence thing followed up, that it's like, he's not gonna get out of this. Like he.
But then he does. That's the like you.
And he can hear now.
Yeah,
he's got the girl, and everything's great. She's got a really nice car.
But maybe that goes back to the American fairy tale thing. Like I actually, like the first time I saw it, I was like, I'm glad everything ended up okay, because like I fell in love with the characters, and it kind of reveled in how much of a movie it was. This time, I liked it less.
But it's so like this is where it gets muddy. Is if he hadn't declared the consequence thing, if you didn't know coming from the person whose hands built the thing that its function was to show us consequences, like I would look past it, because you would assume from the vibe of the movie, I would blow all of this off the table and be like, fuck it, I'm thinking too hard, we're talking too much about it, because really it's just fun. You're supposed to sit and you're supposed to have fun, and at the end it works out. The bad guys lose, the good guys win. Woo! Like what a blast this was. But it's the fact that we know the mission statement was, no, we're gonna kind of, it's gonna get harder than you think you think it would. Or, I don't know.
I do still think that's effective, because there are some moments like. It's viscerally scary when Jamie Foxx takes that gun out to go shoot Deb. Like that's a very dark. The moments that are dark hit really dark, and they kind of take me out of like the fun tone of like the scenes that had come before it.
That's fair. I see you feeling that. It might be a personal thing for me, where I think it's all shot so poppy and cool that sometimes those moments where I'm supposed to be like, fuck, they still to me read like, ooh, sick lighting. Like, I'm not.
I see what you mean.
But I know. I'm complaining about nothing.
To address Nick's point, like I want to contrast with another Wright movie of Sean, where it is very cartoonish and silly, and then there's terrible things that happen.
Right.
But the difference with this is, I think, when you have the tropes and like that kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and hyper stylized thing, instead of just like a relatable comedy about two schlubs, I think it just becomes a little bit too detached from humanity. You know what I mean? Like you can't really find what it's trying to get its beat on.
I also think that when you have that and you try to veer too far into an emotional, just an emotional moment, it could easily become melodrama.
Of course,
and kind of take you out of it.
I mean, it is kind of melodrama.
It is, but never to a point where I'm rolling like it. The melodrama makes sense, but it's not, like if there were like a big or the three big crying
it's literally
scenes.
A melodrama.
Yeah, it is literally a melodrama.
Yeah, of course it is.
But
Yeah,
there's none of the crying or the gasping or anything because I think that would take me out of it.
True.
But that's the modern that is where he's maybe doing a better job at like smoothing over. Okay, we got to buy into this a little bit.
Sure.
These
Right.
people need to feel kind of real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess there's also something I'm realizing about, like, I think there was more times than I realized that I was confused about the stakes in it, and I wasn't sure who's gonna what to be scary, what to be scared of. Very good, very good. Yeah, I was thinking about the fourth.
Very good, Mr. Lau.
Yeah, like even you reminded me of the scene in the diner. So he pulls the gun on the waitress, or he's about to, right? And baby stops him, and it's like that thing of the whole scene. We're nervous that that's gonna happen. The cat. Sorry, cat jumped up. Did that pick up? Did we hear that? Did we pick up the meow? Thank God.
Okay, your point?
So you're worried? Oh, he's gonna do something. He's gonna like fuck with baby's life. Does he already know that the waitress is there? Yeah. And then it's like he pulls his gun and baby just grabs his arm, and then they sort of leave, and then the follow up of that doesn't. Like, when does that become a blow-up consequence? I guess when John Hamm shows up at the end. Like,
no, it becomes a blow-up because he doesn't want anyone to know any connections that he has. So like that. Like, that's the tension of that
But that gives
scene.
it away, right? So then it's...
Not explicitly. I think they know that baby doesn't like killing people.
Right.
Like, he makes that I don't
More what I mean is that I'm digging too far into a micro moment, but like in that moment...
I think it works because it's like, does he know? Does he not know? But it doesn't matter. I think that's what you're saying.
That's more what I mean, right? It doesn't.
It's like it poses the question. You don't need to answer it.
And there was a couple. I can't think of all the examples. Actually, it's, you saying that reminded me. There were a couple things where I was like, well, that didn't really like matter. Like him almost leaving. Where again, it's what was the consequence? Like he messed up his apartment, but stepdad was okay, or foster dad was still fine. Like he was okay, and yeah, he was like disappointed, but it felt like that thing of like. This doesn't. I never felt hopeless. I never really felt like, oh shit, he's in way too deep. I don't know. I kind of still. It kept feeling like we were. The edges were a little sanded. Where I was like, okay, well, he's still gonna. It'll be okay.
But it's funny because I'm still like, I was glad that they didn't kill the stepdad. Like, I don't know why.
No, me too.
Normally, this is stuff that I wouldn't like.
I know,
but I like sort of this. I just like it. Just reveled in being a fucking schmaltzy movie, especially with those two characters.
And I think that's also why ultimately, though, I really like the movie. I know I'm speaking really negatively about those moments, but like that's fun. Like you were talking about the Kevin Spacey turn. Mm-hmm. That to me, that just made me happy because it, like you said, I just want to see these characters be happy. I want to like that surprised me. I was like, oh, he's good. Yeah. Like it feels nice and it's still fun. Also, John Hamm, supervillain in
Red Light
in the car was God. Dope as hell. I loved the end. I loved that so much. That seemed like such a what's the word, like a follow through, such a follow through on what was just a cool idea.
Yes.
It was just like, oh, I think that would
it's I mean a good
he's
third
the final
act.
Boss, man.
Yes,
it's like,
it really is.
Literally, yes. The final boss.
So cool. Well, he's one with the car.
It's kind of funny. Well, somebody pointed out that like that movie, it's a all of it is car chases, right? And then like fights. But the last scene is they're racing on foot. They're chasing on foot. Right. And then they fight in a car. You know what I mean? Yeah. It completely flips it around.
That's really fun.
Although I do think my favorite chase scene that I've seen in like the past 10 years is just them baby backing up through the parking garage while John Hamm chases him and the fucking guitar solo is going.
Sure.
I'm like, I love this. I've never seen something like this.
These are the things that I love, like smart things where I'm like, motherfucker, that's so, I like love that that's the way he did the movie because again with Kevin Spacey, so we had John Hamm, you're like, oh, he's the kind father, he's the one who's in love, who understands baby and wants to protect baby, and then we lose him, he's the bad guy now, and then the guy who we were more scared of, oh no, he's actually the good guy, and again, chase sequence leads to like the chase on foot and then the fight in the car. Like I love that because you can feel that almost conceptually. You can feel those as like first steps of when he was thinking about the movie. I don't feel like those were stumbled upon things. I feel like those were big macro decisions of, okay, I want to kind of turn, like I know I want the ending to be this car fight, this car battle.
This was
like,
what was drawn in the concept art.
Yeah,
like, this is the stuff.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, so much of this movie, like that's why, again, it's such a fucking blast and such a joy because I can feel all of the ideas coming to fruition. You can and again, just by virtue of that, there's all these action sequences choreographed around music. I can't tell you how many times I've been like sitting and I'm listening to a song over and over and over again. We talk about bus rides going to school or whatever. Like I would listen to music over and over again, and I saw a perfect sequence. I knew when it was going to happen, or I would listen to scores. So it's so awesome to see someone like, everybody does that. You daydream and you picture a very specific thing happening. I don't know, and it's fun to see that realize. It feels like a real daydream
fantasy brought to life. Of like, imagining.
Well, totally. It's interesting, and I don't know if this has something to do with why the characters are maybe less complex, but he's been trying to make this movie since like the 90s. This was like one of his first ideas.
I didn't know that.
And maybe
Ever.
that's
came out of the womb. It was just like Baby Driver.
It was Baby Driver and just like a purple dinosaur, like a blue giant stegosaurus. But that's what I thought of when I was little. I drew blue stegosaurus.
Okay. No, I thought you were making an Edgar Wright movie reference, and I was like, "What the fuck?
You
one is that?"
Edgar Wright did the good dinosaur. Edgar Wright's the good dinosaur.
You haven't seen Blue Dinosaurs?
No.
God, that movie was hideous. Dinosaurs from the late 90s.
Oh,
I
man.
liked it though.
Holy shit!
This is my
scare me.
I tell this story all the time, but I saw behind the scenes where they were doing the Foley art for dinosaurs, and they were like, in the way that we like make the footsteps is we crush saltines, and I was like, oh, I guess this movie has like no money. They had to like crush crackers.
Crackers? What are you, stupid?
The way we design the dinosaurs is we take a dildo and we superheat it and we carve like face bits into it.
It's like weird. What the fuck?
They look fucking gross and plasticky.
They are weird, but the like Tyrannosaurus, like the meat eater ones, are really fucking scary.
Sure.
Yeah, I remember
Those
that.
big red dinosaurs. They're great.
I gotta watch that movie. I wonder how the CG. I bet not very well. I bet it looks embarrassing.
Probably doesn't hold
Probably
up
not.
great.
I saw it in theaters, man.
Same. I had that shit on VHS. I watched the fuck out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What a nice time for you. But yeah, he's wanted to, and I also wonder if like the soundtrack is also a holdover from the 90s as well, because nothing's really newer.
He said in that interview at the end of the movie at the ArcLight thing, he said, I think 90, what did he say, like 90 or 95%
of the music was the same.
Yeah, from when he first thought, and like, that's dope. Like, that's the thing. Those are the things that just make me happy that the movie happened.
Well, but I mean, also consider some of the music that he's putting in there. Like, there's some huge hits, like the Barry White song.
Yeah, man.
Yep. Any Queen song's probably a nice license. But a lot of that is like, The Damned isn't super in demand right now.
I don't mean that as like, it's amazing that they got the rights to all of the things. I mean, it's amazing that in its infancy as an idea,
sure,
it kind of followed.
It was
through.
allowed to blossom. Like, it's almost like you're watching a movie when the studio kind of lets the director bring it to life.
Well, it's all just as a fucking testament to him as a director and as a person who can put
absolutely
the daydream
He's
actually.
a fucking god. He's like, I will create. But seriously, my mind. That's what craft world.
It's not easy to take the vibe of listening to music and thinking that you're a fucking getaway driver and imagining all that cool shit and like actually like concretely doing it, and it's still feeling fun and not weird or bulky.
Yeah.
And like that's the other thing.
Like a Mary Sue. I never got the sense that like, oh, this is Edgar Wright stand-in. You know what I mean? Which it could have easily been.
Yeah, I guess no. If I really wanted to,
honestly, I think he kind of is. Like, all the characters do feel very one-dimensional, but in a way that doesn't. Like, I still got invested. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know why it worked. It really worked.
I don't want to ask things of it that it wasn't up to, and I think that's part of what I'm doing. I think that's a lot of my complaints.
Sure.
To be fair, I think that's me complaining about it not being like a different kind of movie.
Right.
That said, it's like they don't need to be. Like, when you look at what the gloss is, the flavor of the movie, that plays into it. The one-dimensional.
I'm thinking about what you were just saying regarding I wonder if like the music is a holdover from the 90s. I'm starting to wonder if maybe the dialogue was too, because he's like, it's a Beck song. I'm like, oh yeah. These kids are like 17 years old. What is going on here?
Right. T-Rex.
Oh my god, yeah. And he's like, Trex. It's like, oh, I've heard of T-Rex. It's like, no, you haven't. There's no way neither of you like Atlanta, Georgia, uneducated guys.
Yeah.
Man, way to alienate
No,
20 of our listeners.
I have family in Georgia, and let me tell you something. I mean, they're great folks. They're not like...
I don't know. Why are you digging this hole?
But they're like,
sit around eating peaches all day.
I know what you mean, though. You're like, it's like, all right.
Why does everyone in this movie have great taste in music?
Although, to be fair, his mother was a musician.
Sure.
Right. So that could be maybe what the idea is.
She's like
but also John Hamm is just like, oh yeah, Manchester rock or whatever the fuck.
Brighton rock.
He knows this not very popular Queen track.
It's like, okay. So, and that's kind of what I mean about like the wankery of the older dude showing you music.
Yeah.
Because there is an aspect of it that's like, let me gallery-ize some of my favorite songs.
Totally, but that's also part of the wanker. That's why it's fun, because there's so much of it is the wankery coming to real. Now it's real. It's real wanking.
It busted.
Yeah,
sometimes those old dudes, like, mostly they suck, but sometimes they're cool. And I think Edgar Wright is the cool old dude.
Yeah,
I think that he definitely
He's
is.
actually cool. He has cool taste. He does cool things. He makes cool things. He has cool ideas.
Just imagine Edgar in his like mansion go, old.
Why I never.
He's like 38. How old is he? He's not very old.
Lord. Is he not 40?
He might be in his like 40s. Early 40s. Yeah.
Wow. Because it's funny, but I still think of him as a young punky.
We should like
filmmaker. Like I still think of him as the person who did Shaun of the Dead.
I want to go to a Q&A and just be like, Edgar, how old are you? And he's like, how long has the wind blown?
Right. I find that happens a lot when I talk. Jesus Christ. That just hit me. I find that happens a lot like when I'm like, oh, there's no way that guy's like 45. It's like, well, how old do you think people older than you are, Tim? Because you're 25. And
I know, it's starting to freak me out now.
Gosh. I am close to the age where people are going to start expecting things of me.
Yeah.
Fuck, how will you rise to the occasion? It's kind of terrifying.
I'm hoping that it all ends before I have to do anything important.
Yeah.
I think it will. I'm excited.
That's why I like Trump. Like, I have no expectations for myself.
Thank God we're about to wrap all this up. Woo! I think I had some justifiable beef, but largely speaking, I have a hard time like not disliking the movie.
Could have said reasonable beef. Is the title of our program justifiable beef?
Well, because clearly I was trying to avoid
SEO,
it.
baby.
All right, yeah.
SEO.
I do think
Google's
I had
listening to us all.
I had some reasonable beef, but yeah, again, it's very difficult for me to look at the movie and go like, it wasn't good enough.
Sure.
Like,
just because it's too fun.
Too fucking sharp.
It's you don't want in your.
You don't want to dislike. Like,
it's like a hot pocket. It's like, this sucks, but also this is fucking just like a salt carb.
Yeah, what was it up to?
Together thing.
I do think. I mean, it also
I think
just
it's a little better than a hot pocket.
This movie is just like a hot pocket. Exactly. I'm sorry.
Because it's a little cold in the middle.
Yeah, right. That's true.
It's crispy on the ends.
You gotta you have to put a crisping sleeve on before you walk in.
Right. But I will say this movie provides.
And I tried to fuck it when I was in high school.
Right? That's very true.
I had a point. I'm sorry. No, this movie provides. It provides a type of chase movie that's like dead, because the Fast and the Furious movies are fun, but they're a little bloodless.
And the salt content is a little.
Yeah, right.
Oh, good lord! Can I come now?
Too much sodium.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I never. No, yeah, it harkens back to like an older kind of everything was done in camera. There's nothing like, there are no super crazy special effects.
Yeah.
It's very grounded.
Yeah.
You know what I like the most about it? The chases feel desperate. The chases in the Fast and Furious movies feel like ballet with cars.
Yeah.
These chases feel like I gotta fucking get
I like
away
the word
from here.
desperate and dirty. It's just
but
fucking.
It's got its very choreographed moments.
The
like when he
first
looks
one.
in the back and he sees the cop cars all perfectly lined up.
But that's that's the fantasy part, and then every chase after that is a mess.
That's a good point.
And even still, though, it's that crunchy. I feel stupid for saying it's like that weird. I want to say like the Weezer thing where it's like feels like it's sloppy so perfectly on purpose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, this is and the camera's like too shaky sometimes, and like all that looks sloppy, and it didn't really quite work, but. It did work. It was 100% on purpose.
That indie flavor.
Yeah, dude.
And just to address, to quote you, to comment on Nick's thing. Now, to quote Dom, to comment on Nick's thing. Nobody puts the camera through the fucking sky in this movie.
Yes,
there's never
you're
any
right.
huge. Everything is ending.
I really do dislike those. I dislike almost every time in a movie where there's like we're flying unnaturally.
Crashing this space shuttle. When it's filled with balloons. Look at all this shit we rendered.
And water. Look at the water.
Look at the fucking water.
But even like one of the most. Because the chases are really simple, but a part that really excites me is when the car gets stuck under the truck, which like seems obvious, but like it created a lot of tension.
Yeah.
Oh, that's literally what the Asian guy goes. Oh no! No.
The what? Oh, the Asian guy. I thought there was an Asian guy with you when you saw the movie. And you bring him to movies and you just refer to him as the Asian guy.
Yeah. He just goes, "What's gonna happen next?" Shh, be quiet.
Nick, you've known me for 11 years. My name is Brad.
You still haven't caught on to movies yet, Brad.
Yikes. Anywho, yeah, that was kind of weird. They kill that guy real quick.
Yeah, but that sort of establishes the dangerousness of Jamie Foxx and the consequences of if you make one little mistake, you're dead.
Sure.
I really can't wait to go again. Like I'm jealous you got to see it a second time and smooth that sphere.
I think you'll like it more once I knew. What?
Flea in it, sorry.
Flea might have one of the funniest lines.
Yeah, Flea's funny.
No-nos.
He's the other guy.
Why do they call you no-nos? Don't ask me that.
That's a great line.
It's a really funny line.
Why can't I visualize him, though?
He's the other scumbag in the second heist with the spider tattoo on the side of his face.
Dude,
he's the one who's not the black or the Asian guy.
So just the regular guy.
The regular guy.
Oh,
the
great.
original.
I'm glad good. Reasonable beef. Tell your friends.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's good. That's all I can say is I really like it. It's good. And knowing
the Mike Myers bit is funny.
It is.
It was trailered out.
I also wish I wish it wasn't a trailer line.
It's a shame. It's always kind of funny. I remember in the film when they go, "You're gonna get the Mike Myers masks," and they say it beforehand, and everyone at the theater kind of went, "I'm like, what is this? What is this phenomenon? Know. Like, we're like prepped to laugh? Like we know we're gonna laugh at this thing we've seen before?
Yeah.
I never understand that sentiment.
They're gonna do it.
Oh, here comes Spider Pig. It's gonna happen. This is it.
It's fun, man. It's a blast.
Yeah,
It just feels so. It feels so happily created.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like you could just feel the giddiness, but it's also but why I appreciate even more than honestly. Yeah, hands down. I think even more I appreciate stuff that feels like this, that feels giddy, because that is such lightning in a bottle. Like that is such a weird thing to try to capture, just in the pace of the editing and the music, and just when you're sitting down, and you're thinking, oh, I want it to feel like how you're saying, you want it to feel like a dream when I'm the best getaway driver ever.
Yeah.
That's not like an easy,
Right.
thing to sit down and actually pull off. So like I don't know, I just appreciate, because that shit was hard. It was difficult the whole time making this movie.
There was a nice moment in the theater that just sort of like captured the movie magic for me. There was like a guy who had brought his girlfriend behind us, and she was like kind of talking. I don't know if she was like super interested, but during that first chase scene, she audibly went, "Wow, how did he do that?" Like it wasn't a movie that had been edited. but what I mean is like,
it's great.
It inspired that response.
Wonderful.
Yeah. It made me happy like to hear that.
It's wild that like Nick Refn let somebody else direct the prequel to his movie. I just found that really, it's like very strange. That they would go so far.
Right. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of this, he gets out of jail.
And she says, "Here, babe, here's your coat." And
Here's your scorpion jacket.
He's in the scorpion jacket, and he says, "Beat it, broad." And then his ears fix, and he's like, "I'm done with music." And then he drives somewhere, and he becomes a stunt driver, and gets in deep with the Jewish mafia.
Indebted to the Jewish mafia.
Yeah.
Help me, Jewish God.
Mm-hmm. Right. So did we do lists? We already did our Edgar Wright list.
We did our list. You didn't do it.
I guess I haven't.
We didn't do a comprehensive list.
All right. Here's my top shit. Here's my top list. Okay. Edgar Wright films.
Okay. Go ahead.
Number 1.
Yeah.
World's End.
Interesting.
Number 2. Sean.
Yeah.
Number 3. Scott Pilgrim.
Uh huh.
Number 4. Hot Fuzz.
Wow.
Number 5. What's the one I'm missing?
Baby Driver.
No, actually, yeah, Baby Driver.
Is it your least favorite Edgar Wright movie?
It's my least favorite Edgar Wright movie. That was going to be... I don't know why I forgot that one, because that was the shocking reveal. That's why I had that big setup.
Well, no, there was tension.
There is...
Yeah, we were all fucking waiting for it,
But yeah, I think this is like... That's a strange thing to say.
Well,
like,
because they're all good, man.
Yes,
they're
like
all
the
still
worst
good.
It's like the smallest brownie on the. I'm still gonna eat all of them. I jam them down my fucking face and nosh them in my teeth.
Yeah, and then scream and cry.
Yeah.
And then,
What's your definitive? Because I think we each just said.
I
Baby
said
Driver
it
was
definitively. It's Sean, Scott Pilgrim,
Sean William Scott Pilgrim,
Baby Driver. Then World's End. Nah, I guess I have a hard time with World's End and Baby Driver. I would say, okay, yeah, Baby Driver is more. Baby Driver, World's End, Hot Fuzz is last for me.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, that's one of those ones where aesthetically and in its conception of what the movie is even about,
sure,
that one isn't directly up my alley. Whereas every other one is pretty on the fucking mark as far as what I like. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that is his love letter to like, Bad Boys and stuff like that. They reference it in the movie.
And that's just the Point Break shoot. He like literally does
and I get all that, and I like all that, and I still like it, and I still think the movie's funny as fuck, and it's fun, and it's good.
It is, but it's a funny movie.
Yeah, it is. It is funny.
What I mean by that is not really that many jokes that like are super memorable to me. I just like the tone of the movie. It's like a very like amusing film.
Amusing's good.
I mean, there's probably my favorite Edgar Wright moment is the twins.
Leaving the frame.
When they leave the frame like on a slide and then they dips back in, backs out. That is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in a movie.
It's funny because I feel like the way you almost like pitch Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz to like executives is like, oh, it's almost like, because I guess on paper they are almost like parody movies, like they parody specific but then they're not. They're real movies.
But they're actually
actual movies.
Sure. They do their own thing. That's we're here again. I mean, and he's one of those guys who's sort of been doing it for a while. Is that halfway making fun of it, but halfway just committing?
Well, celebration, yeah.
And that's always an interesting formula. I feel like you're playing with an unstable compound there because it slips in, and I think all of them. Arguably, at some point, also all of them lose their footing, like a little bit in like, well, what are we up to? And I don't just mean that because I love tonal. I love stark, like tonal shift stuff. I love like that. It's part of why I love Shaun of the Dead so much. Where when all of a sudden he's crying about the dead stepfather in the car, you're like, Jesus Christ! Like you feel it matters.
Moment.
Yeah. See, that moment doesn't work for me.
And like it works for me. And the same thing with the mom, with the standoff, and then all of a sudden David's got the shotgun and is pointing at it. It's like, or I'm sorry, the Winchester.
Sure. Right. Yeah, I like that movie. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of, they do all kind of stumble at some point in a way that's not like, I don't really care. You know what I mean?
No, me neither. I don't give a fuck because also we have realized we should on our, what is this, 25? How many of these have we done?
I don't know. I think this might be the 26th.
Okay, well, on whatever number this is, every movie stumbles in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
At some point, there's a part where it's like a little slower, and it's because I don't know, man. It's a 2-hour juggling act.
Today, I feel like a lot of people are like sharks in the water when it comes to that kind of shit, where they'll find the one thing wrong, especially if you like go on 4chan's movie board or like something like that, where those kind of people hang out. I don't mean like, creeps, just like really hard movie fans who are, douchebags, elitist about it. I feel like there's a lot more of that these days, where people just latch onto a thing and just fucking tear it apart for one small aspect of it.
And because again, here we are again with there's too much good shit right now. Yes. There's too much, and leave out good shit. There's too much shit.
That's true.
So you get to this thing where you're like, it wasn't the thing, and I didn't like that thing, so fuck the whole thing. I'm never doing it again.
I'm reminded of the Doug Stanhope joke about kittens, where it's like one kitten is great, but then when you have a room full of kittens, like you will use a fucking sword and cut your way out of that room. It's like you don't like. There's no value to it anymore. So I understand like being sucks good.
Right,
like I get it because you kind of need to in order to
an extent
to be relevant.
But I think that's again. But with a movie like this, where ultimately we should be singing its praises.
Sure.
Like no matter what, I feel like you get to the end of this conversation and you're like, didn't know we should appreciate what we got here. Like that these things get brushed over sometimes by those people where it's just like, it wasn't and then they just forget about it. Sure. And then that's the end of it. And it's like, no, man, you do need to take a second with anything. We do it with the fucking Mummy remake. Like you gotta, we say it all the time. There's so much shit has to happen for anything to ever work ever in a movie that is like, give them a second. Give them one little moment where you're like, well, I kind of liked how when they were in this cave.
Sure.
And then
the way they stood in the cave.
I think that was your Power Rangers criticism, actually. I liked when they were in the cave.
Sort of when they were in the cave.
I like the way they were in the cave.
Sort of,
just vertical and staring.
It was cool.
Doing a good job.
Dripping in drips.
It's so funny. I remember the way that I used to like, before I had any conception of how to actually criticize a movie when I was like 10 and I was just watching a lot of movies, the only way that I knew whether or not to tell if a movie was good was like through continuity errors. So if a movie had like like A Few Good Men, Jack Nicholson's tie disappears, I'd be like, that's a bad movie. That movie sucks.
I had one gauge and it was, does this movie have tits? And if it didn't have tits, that's a shitty movie.
That's why I watched Final Destination 3 for the one tanning bed scene.
Yeah. That's great. And then she dies.
The tits get all fucked up.
No wonder your fucking sexuality is insane. Anyway,
you open up your little notebook and you write down, there's 2 columns, titty or shitty.
I like to imagine you watched it a lot as a kid, and like every time you'd let it go a little bit longer. You know what I mean? And until you got to the point.
You're literally dead on. You have literally seen right through me.
Oh, Christ. Anyway, we're going to hit it with the three-headed critic, and then we're going to get the fuck out of here.
Do we want to quickly touch on the possibility of a Baby Driver sequel?
Yeah, fuck that.
No, there can't be one.
No, there will
Why
be.
not?
Sony, apparently, I've heard rumors that they're pushing for it.
Truly, why the fuck not?
No, because the whole point. Oh, that would make, if there was one, I'd be mad. Because the whole point is he walks away from that life. That's the whole point.
It's also the tits that it's just this original IP.
Did you say
fucking
tits?
shows up. Yeah, it's, I don't know. Why am I saying tits? So much?
No, I get what he means.
Whatever.
It's a good thing.
It's great that this IP just shows the fuck up, says,
Yeah.
this is a movie, not based on a thing, not inspired by, well, it's inspired by a thing, but like, and this is it, and we did it, and we're out of here. We're going to go do something else. That is good. I want more of that. Edgar Wright is not a sequels guy.
Do you think they would do it without him? I don't want a sequel.
No, he said he's considering it. The whole headline is that he said Sony is looking to do one. They asked me if I wanted to try, if I wanted to write it.
I'm going to say that I don't want it.
Like, let's consider it politically, okay? Let's think about it from a production perspective. How much of that is Sony owning it and them going like, look, we're gonna do this. So
yeah, I mean,
you're either on board and you can steer the ship correctly, or we're gonna hire somebody else that's gonna be fucking insane.
Back to the Future Part 2 and 3, man. That wasn't the movie they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, listen, we're gonna. I mean, everybody likes this. So.
I guess I'll see it.
It's gonna happen.
But the idea of it upsets me.
But just put some. I would put my because here's the thing again. Clean slate. We've never seen him do a sequel to one of his things.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
So it's like, what if he, again, in someone who is typically smart at subversion and at distilling that tiny little whatever that perfect exciting thing is about say okay, for this it would be a sequel. He would be like, okay, well, what's good, like why do people like sequels? And then if he's starting there and if he's trying to just up the ante and
sequel hair.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What sequel hair?
new costume.
Oh yeah, give him the new
He
cut.
needs a new form.
Yeah, you're right. And that would
Baby Driver just has a
the
tail.
second the second that first fucking set photo comes out and he's got a pink jacket on, I'm be like, sick. I'm in. Like, he looked cool. It's a sequel. He's in a sequel shirt.
I more want the next Edgar Wright thing more than a sequel. But I guess you're right.
But if he thinks it could be cool, why the fuck not?
You know what? I want to see a Baby Driver Drive crossover. I want to see them pull up to him leading out in the truck. And they're like, oh, let me help you out. And then that's like a fucking different movie.
And then it's a movie where they just don't really talk to each other.
Yeah.
It also
just
doesn't
quiet.
have to be like him returning to the life of crime thing. It can be, you can direct his powers in any way.
Now he's driving for the FBI.
Anything, man.
We had to harness the power of the Baby Driver to fight. There are other Baby Drivers.
I would not hate a knock, knock, knock.
Oh my God! If it's Baby Drivers,
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, why not?
Hell yeah.
Fuck.
It's like three kids stacked on each other's shoulders, like one of them pushing the pedals. Yeah.
Faster.
Oh yeah.
I said faster. Sorry, these are brakes.
don't spoil the movie.
I mean, I don't think we talked enough about
In Baby Driver?
Yeah, because I mean, it is at the center of everything.
Yeah.
And it's fucking. There's some weird choices in there.
There's an Ennio Morricone song in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What was this one?
It's the piano.
Oh.
It's like a pop. I think it's called like pop Swedish. It's not something I'm familiar with.
Oh, weird. I didn't know he.
Yeah.
That's like him in a jazz band, huh?
Yeah. Well, he does like a lot of jazz stuff.
See, I know very little about him as a composer.
But yeah, so I mean that's cool, and then all the funk stuff.
I spell his name like REO Speedwagon, like Neo Morricone.
Yeah, that's fucking cool.
Neo Morricone. It's fucking a badass name.
I like the what the fuck's the song? What's the name of the song when John Hamm's in the diner and he's gonna
the Barry White song.
Never gonna give you
Yeah,
up.
dude.
Well,
I love stuff because there's that hairline of haha, I get it. It's like a happy song.
So that's a radio hit too. That's
Yeah.
like that's something you hear all the time.
Right.
Well, what I like,
which is impressive. Like it's like he's like, yeah, I'm doing it.
Recontextualized.
Well, what I like about that scene though, and sort of the subtext of that is like his intention with listening to that song was, I'm gonna go get my girl, but then the scene is accidentally scoring his showdown with John Hamm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. I mean, you could say nothing but that there was definitely thought put into the movie, and that's why I guess that's it will still bother me when I see. Like, I wish that the two girls in it were like a little less a thing we've seen a bunch of times.
Just a prize.
Yeah, like I think it's a fair want, but
Fails
it doesn't
the Bechdel
mess.
test.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and that's again it's interesting that right now, I mean, we're feeling this. There's a a conscious shift happening where people are just a little more aware of that when it's going on. And it's funny that it really was like dinging the radar when I was watching it. I was like,
dinging my bing.
Oh shit! Every time he walks in, it's all about him, and he's mysterious, and she doesn't know what he's doing, and no, you be careful, and can you just tell me? And he's like, no. I don't know. I just it's not even a sour note. It's just like a bridge I don't care for in the song. Here we go. Metaphors,
Jesus
baby boy.
Christ.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that chorus is fucking
popping. A bridge I don't care for is like an autobiography.
the literal bridge I don't care for is the arms dealer. Like that's the only scene where I'm like, I don't love this.
But that's again.
Why is that a bridge?
Because it's the middle.
It's just the part.
It's not literally a bridge. There's a scene in this movie where they're literally on a bridge. Are you telling me you don't like that scene?
No, that's a good scene.
That's a good scene.
That's the bridge that I care for.
Technically, you literally like the bridge.
He likes the bridge, but he doesn't like the bridge, Tim.
I care for the bridge. I tend to the bridge.
It's that fucking weird looking dude from
Phantom of the Paradise.
Everything. That guy. He's an English actor. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Would you look at the pork? It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that was so weird. I liked it though. That was one of those ones where I was watching it and I had such a genuine, this is weird feeling. Like, like I feel like we're spoiled by weird shit. Like, it's super fucking weird. Oh, it's so trippy, such a weird sequence. But then this, I was like, oh, this is like weird. It's like makes me feel uncomfortable. Yeah. I don't like this voice.
But just feel his hands.
Yeah, I can feel his hands, dude. Yeah. I can feel him like touching my back of my neck.
I've been moisturizing.
I wish I knew that actor's name.
I don't think it is Toby Jones. Are you thinking of Toby Jones?
Maybe.
No, it's not.
It's not Toby Jones. It's the actor from Phantom of the Paradise.
It's not Toby Jones?
No, it's not Toby Jones. It's I can't remember the actor's name. But yeah, because Phantom of the Paradise, I don't know. I guess
it was someone else who looks like Toad from Mario Brothers.
Because he could do it.
All right, guys.
My big Captain America Toby Jones quote.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Toby Jones.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. That name is too cool for him. Toby Jones is an awesome name, and he looks like a thumb.
The sad thing, Toby Jones always plays a character who a more famous actor plays the same year. But he does, like, he did Truman Capote the same year that Philip Seymour Hoffman did it.
Yeah.
He also did Hitchcock the same year that Hopkins did it. He's always better than them, but it's fucking Toby Jones. He's 3 feet tall.
Yeah,
you look right past him.
He's so cool.
Wow. Yeah, fuck Toby Jones.
No, he's really good, unfortunately.
Really good. He's a really good actor. And he works a lot, very prolific. All right, we're going to wrap this up.
Sure are.
I'm sorry, you don't look like a thumb, Toby. Well, we'll keep awareness.
You lose one subscriber.
Hey, everyone. I'm like, oh my God. So we're going to end this on Three-Headed Critic. And we're going to bounce.
Okay.
Nick, start it up. It'll go to me and then Dom.
The
baby
is
getting
all those
fast
muscly.
What?
I thought that was the end.
What word was that?
Muscly.
Okay, that baby is getting all
those fast muscly.
Oh, okay. Speeds.
Period.
All right.
That baby.
That baby's getting all those fast, muscly speeds. Period. And that's how I would describe the movie.
Yeah. I mean, quite frankly.
This is RogerEbert.com.
It's something that like a very drunk man would sit, like he's watching NASCAR. He's like, that baby's getting all real fast.
Yes, muscly
speeds.
And you know what? You can tell it's a good thing when he says it.
Yeah. He's having a good time.
Are we? Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the program. My name is Tim Ekish. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you liked what you heard here, please go to www.patreon.com/reasonablebeef and give what you can. $5 gets you access to bonus beef, which is our month-end wrap-up, silly nanny podcast. We have one up right now, and it's easily the best episode we've ever done. It's very funny. Listen to it.
Give me $5.
I'm not even just saying that, so you'll give me $5. It is a great, grand old time.
100 guests.
And then a new one will be up soon. So, keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a good ass night. All right. On the phone. Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah, we were sick of what you were saying. Yeah, we went to the fun thing. The phone.
Shut the fuck.